I am Stephanie Peck. I am the team owner of Peck's Realty Group and working alongside with Dawn at Pro Insight also. So excited to be here. This is my first time leading this meeting, so give me grace. But I think it's going to be exciting. So what we're talking about today is the importance of leverage. And I'll share a little bit of personal story with that is when my real estate business really took off, is when I finally understood leverage. And I will admit that I am self-proclaimed frugal in my business, to where I always struggled with the idea of paying someone to do something that I could do for myself. Why would I pay somebody to do that? And then I finally got smart and finally understood what leverage meant and how I'm actually making money by paying someone else to do the things that I really wasn't that good at in the first place. And it's just, it frees up your mind space. If nothing else, it frees up your time, but leverage frees up your mind space so that you are not stressing out about the things that you don't need to stress out about. And you have the ability to think about some of those higher level activities that are going to move your business forward and keep you going and keep you growing. So what I wanted to do with everyone first off is to really understand leverage for yourself and understand your value and what you should be spending your time on. So if we could take a couple of seconds, and if you haven't calculated your dollar per hour, now is the opportunity to do that. And just reflect on how much money you made in 2023. If you don't know your profitability, which a lot of agents don't, and that's okay, just do your GCI. Go on your GCI, or the total amount that you made with revenue share, whatever that was, your total revenue, and divide that by 2,000, which is the average hours worked in a year, and see what you come up with. And if anyone's willing to share or add it to the chat, what was your dollar per hour in 2023? Does anyone want to share that?
Well, I'm a little north of $100 an hour net.
Awesome. And Anna Maria, 104. And now if you want to take this to the next level.
Anna Marie says 104.
Russell, 407. Russell, you understand leverage, my friend. And if you want to take it to the next level, how much money do you want to make in 2024? What would a successful growth year look like for you? And do the same thing, divide that by 2,000 and say, what do you need to be worth? What does every hour that you show up for work need to be worth in 2024 for you to reach your big goals? Let me ask you, if you're worth $407 an hour, would you pay someone $407 to take an hour to upload documents to SkySlope for you?
Yeah, my TC is like my best friend.
Right, yeah. So would you pay her $400 an hour to upload documents to SkySlope?
No, I mean, I pay her a lot less than that, right?
Right, it's probably worth it. She's probably worth it. But would you pay someone $400 if they went out and door knocked for an hour and came back with a listing appointment for you? Would you pay someone $400 to do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I would do that all day long. So either you're going to pay someone to do that, or you have now identified your best use for your time is if I could take an hour and call my clients, prospect, door knock, an hour at an open house or 2 hours at an open house at $800, say that's an $800 value to me, and I walk away with a new client, a new buyer, and a listing appointment, that's worth that to me. That's how I should be using my time. So that's what I've started doing when I really understood leverage, is putting everything through that calculator. Everything that I do, would I pay someone $400 to pick up a lockbox for me? No, I absolutely would not. And one thing that I've learned from my friend Justin Stoddard, which I just recently heard him say, is that we spend a lot of time and focus on being the person that puts the food on the table. But we forget that it's important to be the person sitting at the table also. That we want to be providing for our families. So we're not just focusing on, I could take that time and go get more business. What if I could take that time and be with the people that I'm working for, be with my big why? If I could have that time back, I would pay $400 to sit with my family at dinner every night. That would be worth it to me. And I'll just say from personal experience, if anyone is a parent or anyone can relate to this in one way or another, before I understood leverage and specifically with a transaction coordinator, how many times I rushed those kids to bed so that I could open my laptop up again and start uploading documents and searching for that addendum that I don't know where it is in my inbox so that I could get that uploaded because I wanted to get paid tomorrow. And if I couldn't find it, then I was losing sleep and stressing out because I'm thinking, I look like an idiot. I'm going to have to get that signed again by the client because I lost it or I forgot to do it or it's post close. And now I'm going back to the buyer's agent like, hey, can we get this signed so that I can get paid? Nobody likes that feeling. So that's where I've identified there are some things that I'm just not good at. And it's okay to not be good at them. Find someone else that is. So with that, I'm going to introduce Kim Elder. So Kim is the owner of Axis Transaction Coordinators, and they are a group of transaction coordinators specifically serving EXP agents. So she's going to tell us more about the services that she provides and how it will change your life, change your business, allow you to do more business, and allow you to have more time and more headspace, more freedom in your brain so that you can be thinking about bigger things that are going to move your business forward. So Kim, take it away for us.
Thank you so much. I'm super happy to be here with you guys this morning. Thank you for having me. I'm actually going to...
Gardner, this is Matthew Stewart.
Good morning.
There we go. Go for it, Kim.
Right. Awesome. So yes, thank you for the introduction. My name is Kim Elder, and I am the founder and owner of Axis Transactions. I actually own two separate transaction coordinating businesses. A little bit about me. I became a transaction coordinator in 2013 and then went independent and started my own business in 2018 and launched Bridgetown Files. And we service over 100 agents between two states, working with about 40 different brokerages. And last year, although I've worked with EXP agents for a really long time, I really started to notice that EXP was saying, no, we want to tighten the belt around this. We want our TCs working with our agents to be EXP TCs. And so with that in mind, I launched Axis Transactions. I'm a licensed, technically a licensed agent with EXP, but I'm not a deal writing agent. We're just transaction coordinators. And I have a team that serves Oregon and Washington. So what I wanted to do was kind of talk to you exactly what Stephanie was saying about how to leverage your time. And clearly, our most valuable resource is our time, right? So as a busy agent, how do you leverage this? How do you prioritize yourself, your loved ones, your clients? And there's only 24 hours in a day. As Stephanie was saying, this is the most common thing we hear. Agents are out running around, showing properties, holding opens, and an addendum needs to get signed. That's a simple thing that they can forward over to us and we can take care of it. Then at the end of that night, Stephanie's coming back to her computer. She doesn't have to worry about looking for that addendum. She doesn't have to worry about if it was signed or if it was uploaded. She knows it's taken care of and off her plate, right? So the biggest thing you can do to leverage your time is delegate. Delegate, delegate, delegate. And as a business owner myself, I can definitely relate to this. There are things within the business that I am not great at. One of them is social media. I am not great at remembering to do it, staying consistent, right? So we have a social media team that takes care of that. I know that my business is being promoted. I have peace of mind and it's off my plate, right? So the biggest thing that I think we run into, especially with agents who've never worked with a TC, is exactly what Stephanie was describing. And I'm actually definitely guilty of this as well. It's like, well, I can do it. I can do the thing, right? But really what gets lost in the shuffle is the thing getting done well? So in this instance, why would you hire a TC? You're streamlining those tasks. Your communication is more efficient. Your timeline management is taken care of. And you're enhancing your client satisfaction, right? When your business is running smoothly, your clients are happier. So I always tell people when they call, I'll have a lot of phone calls throughout the week where they're saying, okay, where do I start? How do I do this process? And I always tell them, honestly, it starts with you and your current process. TCs, a good TC should be adaptable. We have our own systems, but we want to come into your process. So I always encourage agents, the first step is sitting down and analyzing what's currently happening within your business, what's currently happening with your transactions. Think about the last 3 transactions you had. What were the pain points? What were the items that you felt were not a good use of your time? Sitting there at 10 o'clock at night, uploading things to SkySlope. That's not a good use of your time. What are tasks that you know you can hand off to someone else right off the bat? A lot of times I'll tell agents, make not a pros and cons list, but a handoff list and a keep list, right? What can you immediately hand off to that TC and what are items that you want to keep? This is actually where we come in, the superheroes. We step in to your process with our finely tuned systems and tools and help your transactions run smoothly. I'm not here to replace you. We're not here to take over necessarily, but we're here to partner with you. We have our own systems, our own tools, our own processes, and we want to take that and implement it with what you already have, that relationship that you already have with your clients and how you're running your business. That will actually free up your time to do the part of the job that you love to do, right? Out meeting with people, opening doors for people, and not stuck behind doing all the admin work. So this has come up a lot, the personal TC versus an independent TC, especially in 2020, 2021, when everyone had a ton of business coming in, a ton of money coming in. A lot of people just had one TC that they were sharing as a team, or a couple agents sharing them, and that's great. But a lot of times you're stuck with a salary, right? So that pressure, that stress of whatever the market does, as it dips, as it rises, that pressure of having a salary is on your shoulders every day. So the difference with having an independent transaction coordinator is that we are not salaried. We're a per transaction fee. So you can build that into your budget. You know that if you have X amount of closings, you're going to be paying your independent transaction coordinator X amount of dollars, nothing more, nothing less. We don't lock you into a binding contract of any kind. You don't need to be worried that you're stuck with us for 6 months or 60 closed transactions or anything like that. And then the part of the job that I love the most in giving agents that peace of mind is saying that if a transaction terminates along the way, we don't get paid either. I think that a lot of times there's that fear, especially when you're first starting out with a transaction coordinator, in, what am I going to be on the line for? And so that is the best way for my team and I to come alongside you as a partner and say, hey, we're in this with you. You're not getting paid, we're not getting paid either. So really, as Stephanie was saying, it's an investment in your business. And actually, it's quite a small investment dollar-wise in your business. You're not on the line for any huge overhead costs, and the rewards are massive. So as Stephanie mentioned, and then I mentioned at the beginning as well, we do have a partnership with EXP. The question has come up in the past, should your transaction coordinator, if you're already working with one, should they be licensed or unlicensed? It's always been my thought process that we should be licensed, even if we're not performing licensed activity. I think it's important that that transaction coordinator has that knowledge base, and EXP agrees with that. So with that being said, EXP has said, absolutely your transaction coordinator needs to be licensed and with EXP. And also, right now we are currently in Oregon and Washington. I'm working on Arizona as we speak and California. California is a little bit of a different state to get into as a transaction coordinator, so we're working on it. But I do have 3 full-time coordinators in both states right now. And we would love it if you would scan our little QR code and join the transaction party with us. Give us a test run. I always tell agents when they've never worked with a transaction coordinator, we do have a service agreement that just states what we do and how we're going to help you. But give us a try. Just try one transaction and see how it goes. See if the systems that we have in place, the tools that we have in place, how does that help you free up your time? How does that help you leverage your most valuable resource? This last slide is just my contact information. You're welcome to give me a call, shoot me an email, follow us on social media. But the QR code will actually take you to our website as well. So if you want to save that for later. Again, we have 3 full-time coordinators, and I would love to be able to connect you with one of them today.
Awesome, thanks. So Kim, Dawn has a question.
Yeah.
Where do you see agents fail with TCs most often? What's the one thing that agents do that gets in the way of them having success with their relationship with their transaction coordinator?
Honestly, it's communication. The communication is key. I always tell agents that we can only be as good as you let us be, essentially. So if we're not in the know on a transaction, a situation that has come up, which I totally understand, agents are going a million miles a minute, but communication with us and looping us in is really probably the one area where agents struggle the most. So a lot of times, it's an easy thing to throw us on an email, and we can kind of go through the email chain and see like, okay, what's going on here? That is part of our job. So I would say that's the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm. I know that I've heard agents say so many times that they struggle with using a TC because everything just lives in my brain. I hear that all the time. Everything just lives in my brain. I don't document my processes. I don't follow a system. So how do you help agents get over that, Kim? When you take on a new client, how do you help them integrate you into their process?
Yeah, absolutely. It is hard. There's a trust factor that is huge. I know even when I onboard a new transaction coordinator and I'm connecting them with an agent for the first time, that trust factor is really big. And it's hard. It's really hard. But that's why I always say, give us a try the first transaction, because we have a really fine-tuned system. We have programs that we use specifically. And we also like to check in periodically throughout the transaction with our agents and say, how are you feeling? Is this feeling good, not good? Where can we step it up? I actually have the conversation frequently too of agents that say, hey, that's too much. I need you to back off that part of it. So it's really kind of a little bit of a give and take. And that communication is really key in helping us in implementing us into the process as much as possible. 9 times out of 10 after the first transaction, agents go, oh my gosh, I didn't even know you did all these things. Now I don't even have to think about it. So that first transaction is really a learning for both of us. It's for the coordinator to get used to the agent and the agent to understand what the process is like working with a coordinator too.
How many transactions do you typically need to do with an agent before you guys really feel like you're in a groove?
Honestly, I think it only takes 1 or 2. It varies depending on if that agent has worked with a coordinator in the past. Sometimes they come in with a certain set of expectations, and our team may or may not provide that exact list of services. Every TC is different, just like every agent is different. And so, yeah, I think it's about 1 or 2 transactions before it becomes really kind of set.
Awesome. And Russell, go ahead.
Yeah, great. First of all, love having the TC on. That's like the most important thing in the world. And I would say when you're writing an offer, right, and you're sending it over, that's when your TC starts. Yeah. Or when you're getting a listing signed, that's when a TC starts, right? That way they know the transaction is potentially getting started. That being said, I love that you guys are with EXP. I've done almost 300 transactions in my 4 years here at EXP. And what's really important, folks, especially, it doesn't matter if you're with EXP or not with EXP, you should absolutely have a transaction coordinator, because I have never, ever myself pushed one of those transactions through SkySlope myself, right? I mean, I've opened it every now and then to try to see, or answer a question, but it's amazing what a good TC can do. That being said, also at EXP, if you're one of those agents that does, 25 plus transactions a year, it's super important that the TC is familiar with EXP and helps you reach Icon, because the way that you process transactions at EXP has different charges. So I love that you guys are EXP specific and that you can help people reach Icon. And then what's funny here at EXP, which is different than most places, once you cap, right, you want to pay as much in transaction fees as you can until you hit Icon. And then exactly the opposite is true. From that point forward, you want to pay as little as possible. So I'm sure you guys have that all dialed in, but I'm just telling folks, you will save yourself $16,000 in stock if you have a TC that understands how EXP works and you're in that 25 to 30 transaction range to make sure that you hit Icon. I'm assuming that you guys are there and you know the strategy and you're good at that also.
We're working closely with that. It's still, like I said, it's a learning curve for me too. I've worked with EXP agents for about 10 years, but I wasn't licensed with EXP until last year. So I'm learning that as well. Any information I can glean is great. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. You guys are amazing. Again, everybody, if you haven't hired a TC, these guys are fantastic. I would hire them yesterday.
Yeah. Russell had put in the chat here, transaction coordinator is a must. And if you are closing more than one transaction per month, there's just no way you should be working without a transaction coordinator, in my opinion. And Russell agrees. And then your next step would be to hire an assistant. But the easiest first hire is a transaction coordinator because, like Kim said, there's no overhead obligation. It's per transaction. So it's very low risk to leverage that piece of your time in your business. And Dawn, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious, Kim, I know you've put your website there at accesstransactions.com. Do you have any maybe short videos of customers, maybe their stories? I was doing 2 transactions a month and feeling overwhelmed, and I hired Kim's service, and now I'm doing 3 or 4 and actually have more time. Or, I just find whenever I'm considering a new vendor service, it's kind of nice to, if I can't talk to their customers, I at least want to see a video. Do you have something like that?
That is awesome feedback. And I actually do not yet. My social media team has been hounding me to get on that. So it's on my list for this year for sure. We have a lot of written reviews, but the video review, I agree with you. It is really impactful, especially when you're shopping around. So yeah, that is on my list for sure.
Well, I'm sure you have a number of folks that would be willing to do that for you if you asked. And what you can do is, Megan manages our Facebook group at Atomic Habits.
Okay.
So once you have those videos, she's going to put this recording up there. She could then add a link or two to those videos if you produce them. So I would just encourage you to do that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
I coach the agents to ask for references, and it's just that you hate to, because it's usually your best customers that you want them talking to, but then you don't want to consume a bunch of their time. But if you just get them to do one video, then we've accomplished the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's awesome advice. And I will definitely work on that. I'll move it up my list.
Well, I will gladly do a video.
Thank you.
I will say, I'll give a personal testimony right now that if I see that Kim or someone on her team is on the other side of a transaction when we're writing an offer, or someone's bringing an offer on one of our listings, I am like, phew, that just cut my workload in half, knowing that a good transaction coordinator is on the other side of the transaction too. Because I know that I don't need to babysit. I don't need to watch that, or whoever is assisting me doesn't need to be watching that as closely, because we've got 2 people on each side of the transaction that are doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I will give that. I wanted with that, just kind of touch on that. In the EXP ecosystem here, we have a very unique opportunity to be adding another layer of value to our transactions and to our co-op agents. So there's something to be thinking about there when you are doing a transaction and you are looking at your co-op agent as a potential recruit. If you have a great transaction coordinator that is making everyone's life easy and making that transaction go really smoothly, you have a great opportunity to really shine and show up for that co-op agent, which will make it a lot easier for them to be attracted to what you're doing and what you're doing within EXP. Also, to touch on that, think about the relationship that a transaction coordinator has with other agents. So if you're thinking about recruiting opportunity and you have a transaction coordinator that you love and you know that they need to be a part of EXP to be able to use them, that transaction coordinator has a really awesome agent attraction opportunity because they are inside the business and the lives of so many agents. Kim, you said you serve over 100 agents currently, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So a couple of things that came to mind with that. First of all, I love that because Kim sees how over 100 agents are doing business, which is going to help me because she's going to be able to say, so-and-so uses this kind of checklist or so-and-so is doing this kind of work with their clients. And you ought to be implementing that into your business. So your transaction coordinator ends up being a consultant to you. They end up sharing so much of other people's business with you that will help push your business farther. But also, Kim, you have such a deep relationship with the agents that you serve. And if they're outside of EXP, you may be able to identify an opportunity there with an agent that is struggling. And every agent is looking for either more time or more money. Sometimes both. The goal would be both. I want more time and more money. But in a struggle point, in a pain point in your business, it's either I need more time or more money. So if someone is coming to you, Kim, and they're saying, gosh, this market is just beating me up. I'm having a really hard time. Kim, what are you seeing out there? Like, I see you closing deals for so many other agents. Kim, you have an opportunity there being part of EXP now to say, I work with a couple of agents that are just really doing well. And perhaps you ought to talk with Stephanie Peck. Perhaps you ought to talk with Courtney Twist, who's doing a great job in this business, and the market hasn't beat them up or hasn't taken them down. They may have some insight for you. And that's a great introduction that could lead to an attraction opportunity. Dawn, what do you have to add to that?
Well, I love where you're going with this. And part of having constant never-ending improvement is just being humble and asking great questions. And what Stephanie's talking about, whether it be going to your TC, going to your escrow officer, going to your loan officer, but just simply coming with this question of, gosh, I know you, Kim, you serve 100 agents. I got to imagine that at least a handful of them are running their businesses more smoothly and efficiently than me. Who would you say is the best at managing their transactions, in your opinion? And what do you think I could learn from them? Or just call that person. Like maybe she says, "Well, it's Stephanie Peck," and then I would reach out to Stephanie and say, "Hey, we use the same TC." And I was asking them who they thought had the best run business, and they said you. And so I was just wondering, gosh, what are you sprinkling on those transactions over there, Stephanie? Right? So, and again, go to those people. It's Kim as a TC is a great example, an escrow officer, a loan officer, anybody that has a lot of great realtor relationships. There's something you can learn from each of them.
Well, and
So thanks for bringing that up, Stephanie.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that knowing, even prior to being at EXP myself with my own license, I would say probably 10 times at least a year, I get an agent that will call one of our current clients and they'll say, hey, I'm just not happy with whatever brokerage I'm at. I want to make a move. What are you seeing out there? And I used to send agents all the time to EXP. I still do, but I started way before I was ever over there because I could see, this would be a great fit for this agent. But I didn't have the connections that I have now within EXP. So it was kind of sending them over and then wishing them well. And so now, there is a lot more talk about how can I partner you with a team so you're not just floating around in the, EXP universe by yourself. But it is a great tool. It's a great resource to be able to do that. And we get those calls all the time from agents that are looking. So yeah, it's an awesome opportunity for sure.
Mm-hmm. And that's another great reason to hire an independent transaction coordinator instead of having one for yourself. I do almost 100 transactions a year, and it still does not make sense for me to have an in-house transaction coordinator. And when I've done the math, I would need to be at close to 200 transactions a year before it would make sense financially, but also just the impact that it would have on my business and the burden that it would have on my business to have an in-house transaction coordinator versus using an independent. So I'm a big fan of that. And really it's because of the relationship that you all have with so many other agents and not just the few that are in my team.
Right. Well, and
I learn more from my transaction coordinators than probably anybody, other than Dawn, of course.
Well, that's something that was something that was really important to me too. For lack of a better term, I started a transaction coordinator support group in Oregon, because I think that a transaction coordinator in general is definitely newer in the industry, right? It's a newer position. And agents have this ability to collaborate, but independent TCs are kind of on an island, so to speak. And so I started this group a couple of years ago to kind of get everyone together so that we can share, what are you seeing? What are your agents seeing? How is the market affecting you? What are, just that collaboration in general with independent transaction coordinators has been amazing. We have about 30 that are running either teams or pretty big businesses solo. And we meet once a quarter to be able to kind of mastermind that ourselves. And how do we add value to the agents' lives? That's the biggest thing that I'm always looking for is how do I add more value? What are tools I can implement? What are new systems coming out that I can test out with my team? So that collaboration too is really important to keep us educated and at the forefront of what's happening, especially as the market has done what it's done over the last year and a half. So yeah, it's super important.
Yeah. If you have a good TC, having the amount of support you get from that person, your TC has everything on the line to make you successful. Because if you're not successful as an agent, you're not bringing them business, and they see it that way and they understand that. So their number one priority is to be your biggest advocate and your biggest cheerleader so that you can go get more business so that they can in turn have more business. So it's a beautiful relationship between an agent and a transaction coordinator. When I was in high production myself, I would say that if I went a whole day without touching the computer, that was a successful day. That was my goal, was to be so well leveraged that all I focus on, of course, I was doing it on my phone, but I never needed to sit down and write an addendum. I never needed to sit down and, write a newsletter. from the car, I could call, hey, I need you to put this together and I need you to put this together and send this out and get this to this person between appointments. And all I did was go from appointment to appointment to appointment, take care of clients, show up for them at those high level moments, and have everyone else do the rest. So that was always my goal. And if you're in that position in production, I would recommend that be your goal, is to go an entire day with never touching the computer. Because if you are on the computer, you are not in front of your clients.
Well, and one other thing that I want to touch on that's been really cool too, like you mentioned, we have really great relationships with our agents. And most of them are nurtured over my agent. The longest ones that have been with me for 8 years. So we've been through weddings and divorces and babies and graduations together. And one of the cool parts, I think, as an independent coordinator as well, is, we're out in the community also. People are, especially when they know that I'm licensed, they will ask me, hey, can you sell my house? And I'm always like, absolutely not. I don't have time to sell your house and do all this over here. But what I can do is match you with an amazing agent from my team. So I pass referrals to my team of agents all the time. In fact, I have a really fabulous agent that I've worked with forever, and my neighbor across the street needed to sell her mom's home. Her mom had fallen. She needed to be put into like a retirement facility very quickly. And I matched her with an agent from my team that I knew would be a good fit personality-wise. And he sold her house for her and made a commission. So I think there's that relationship aspect too, that we are out in the community also and able to pass that information on to our agents also.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kim, so much for being here, and hope this was valuable. I know that transaction coordinating is not the most flashy, exciting. It's not AI. It's not all of these things, but it is the foundation. It is the most important thing that you can do in your business, because I'll tell you what, that is the number one thing that is so easy to implement. I mean, I've taken so many courses on things that are over my head, or that I'm like, that'd be cool someday, but I'm never going to get to it. But I know that I can hire a transaction coordinator and be successful that day. So that is why this may not be the most exciting, but it is the most important. And I really felt that way. And I wanted to bring that to our group. So thank you, Kim, for everything you shared. And be sure to save her information. She is growing into other states. And if she's not serving your state, I'm sure, Kim, you have some resources that you could connect people with.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. Go have a great rest of your week, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Stephanie.
Bye.